Alright, we're back for part 2, carburetor reassembling on the Kawasaki FA210. I'm going to start by pulling these parts out. We're going to rinse and blow them off and see what we're working with. I know this part is super exciting. Looks like we're gonna have to get a fresh can of brake clean soon. Oh, look at that! This pickup tube really got a lot of that gunk off. A lot of that corrosion came off. This body still doesn't want to come apart, and I'm not going to force it. We already lost some of our gasket, but we should be okay on that. Let's see. That feels a little better. That choke should move relatively freely now. Try hitting this with some compressed air. Ooh, check that out. That's what that compressed air just got out of there. What we're going to do is see if we can't take this all the way off and replace it with some kind of filter. I think it was originally a screen, but it's so corroded and oxidized, it just disintegrated when I took it apart and touched it. I know that compressor's loud, guys, but we gotta have it. Alright, so now the main body is starting to look halfway decent. We got most of the gunk off, got most of the stuff out of the inside. We're going to blow it down one more time. Get the rest of that carb clean off of it. You don't want to leave that in it. I really would have liked to have taken this choke butterfly out, but since we can adjust that manually, we're not relying on a little spring or something, it should be okay. I know watching me clean parts is not the most exciting thing, especially when I can't show it all to you, but this is what it involves. Alright guys, let's see about putting some of this back together. See if we can remember where everything goes. We had this little screw, which is probably a jet. Doesn't look like it's all the way clean. Let's blow that out with some compressed air. The fact that it has a hole on one side and the other side is clogged up makes me think that this is going to be a problem. So let's see what we can do here. Let me get my picks. Gonna see what we find. I have a feeling, yep, this is just really clogged up. Alright, we got an opening started now. Maybe our compressed air can blow it out the rest of the way. Oh, starting to look better. Let's try a little more brake clean. This definitely would have been an issue. This, I believe, is the main jet. Fairly certain of that. Let's see what we can do with a wire brush. I usually have an extra piece of wire laying around or something, some thin copper. We can run through these. I'm definitely going to have to do something. I don't want to put this. This would defeat the whole purpose of cleaning this if we didn't get this jet clean. Let's see what we've got. All right, let's do this. Cut off a piece. Gonna strip this back. What we want to do is isolate just one of these wires and then run this through here, making sure we clean it out really well. See how that fits? Yeah, definitely getting more gunk out of there than what we got earlier. You want to run it around, and actually this jet looks like it might be big enough. We can use 2 wires. Let's see if we can get 2 in here at the same time. Maybe not. They fit part way in. So we're going to help use that. See that what came off that? I don't know if you can see that real well, but I can see it. Go back to 1. This copper is soft enough it's not going to tear this brass up like if you were using steel. When you use steel wire, it tends to enlarge this hole, which sometimes you want that. Right now we're not going for that because we don't know how this thing runs yet. If it runs too lean and we need to adjust it, then we can try some steel wire. Since we don't have an actual carb jetting kit, much better, much better. This is just going to go in till it stops. We have to put this back in, which needs to be cleaned off. This was the throttle plate, which goes in like that. We then had this piece, which went in here. Basically just run it down until the spring is compressed. I think this actually acts as the throttle stop. It sure does. So without that, we can go all the way to closed, but we do not need to be all the way closed. So I'm just going to put that cracked open, and this was actually ran in a lot more than this when I took it apart. So we're going to go with this thick throttle plate. Gotta go a little farther than we normally would. So if you can see that, we have this to where it's just cracked open when it's against that throttle stop. And that may need to be adjusted later. Let's see what else we've got. We had a little spring. Where did our little spring go? There's our little spring. Had a little spring that went in here behind this. This goes in, and if you remember, this was about 1 turn out from flush. So we're going to run it in until our screwdriver won't turn it anymore or just stops. We were about 1 full turn out from there. Probably going to have to adjust that later. We had a long screw that went down through the center. Now I'm going to go ahead and say, guys, I have some concerns since we couldn't take these pieces apart. If this machine doesn't want to run properly, we're going to have to bust this down and probably have to order or make gaskets for it. Depending on how complicated they are, we might be able to just make them, but if they're too complicated, we're going to have to try and source them, which may be difficult. This is an older machine. It was produced outside the United States in Japan. So we don't know yet what's available. Honestly, I've barely looked. I like to see what I can do without having to buy parts first. That's all the parts. We need to clean that fuel tank because it was disgusting. And then we will need to reassemble everything. Next time, guys, let me know if you want more of these.